Hello, you multi-meandering multi-mavericks, and thank you to John Derbyshire, who has provided the malt mention. Welcome to the Bothy, welcome to the Malt Place, welcome to the Whisky and Other Quality Spirits Review Hub, Centre, Dump, Outhouse. I'm Ralphie. Welcome to Ralphie Review 962 Extras. Extra content over and above specific whisky reviews. I've just reviewed this whisky. It's called Compass Box Orchard House. Lovely label, by the way. And if you look closely at the label, you will notice that it's full of little images of fruit and blackberries and butterflies and bugs and snails. Alluding to what flavours you should expect from the whisky inside, which are primarily apples, pears, and a little bit of, I'm sure there's a David Austin rose in there as well. But a big label, and on the back, a big label too, giving you some more information and pointers as to what the whisky's about, a very clear disclosure of the batch number, and also the website at the bottom, www.compassboxwhisky.com. So they're proactively inviting you to go to the website, where it won't take you long to find that for the batches of whisky, they are providing flavour profiles, and this is a flavour profile. This is a fairly recent development. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, these sort of flavour profiles were nowhere to be seen except from experts' books and flavour wheel compositions and suggestions of how different flavours, smoky, peaty, fishy, oily, would be called blocked into the phenolic section, which was usually a darker colour, and then another part of the flavour wheel would be bright green, and it would be green apple and gooseberry and melon, and then you'd have a wee yellow fruit section, which would be lemon and pineapple and grapefruit, and that's basically the way it worked. And what they were trying to do is encourage us to think about the way flavours work with each other. But what Compass Box have done is they've gone further, and this is a very recent phenomenon in the presentation of whisky to the global market. And personally, I really welcome it. And I'll tell you why. Because it provides authentic, from the source, information about how they have constructed a blended malt. Now, a distillery could do exactly the same thing with a batch of single malt. They could tell you that your batch of single malt is made up of 500 barrels. I mean, there's no reason they can't do this. It's called disclosure. It's very, very useful modern marketing. Authentic, honest disclosure. 500 barrels, and 2/3 of the barrels were ex-sherry hogsheads, and 1/3 of the barrels were first filled bourbon casks, and the final third of the casks making up that batch were refill ex-bourbon casks, which had previously held whisky content. And they may say, and all the whisky content came from our distillery because we're reusing our wet casks, which is a very sensible and practical thing for any single malt distillery to do. So you don't need an awful lot of disclosure. You don't need full analytical breakdown, but to get some sort of guidance is really helpful. Particularly when a distillery says and discloses on their website, we do not chill filter our whisky because it costs us money, it costs you money, and it diminishes the quality of the whisky which we are charging you a premium for. It's perfectly legitimate to say that. It's not false information. In fact, in my opinion, it's absolutely true. And you will find this yourself as time goes on, the generic supermarket brands that are 40% heavily chill filtered, packed with caramel, to be honest, they just become boring. No matter what price you pay for them, they're never really good value. Controversial? Well, you've come to the right channel. Put your seatbelt on. I'm going to go further now. It's not that long ago where disclosure was really unheard of because it was presumed that the customer was just interested in chugging back the product. They weren't interested in being informed. They weren't interested in slowing down their consumption and connecting with the indigenous quality that single malt Scotch whisky provides in all its incredible variety and permutations. And this is something that even now here in 2023, and bear in mind, it's not a lot of time has passed from the year 2000 when things started to change. It's only 23 years. But we now are coming into a whole new generation of the articulate, informed, and actually really switched on whisky customer who is being informed but from an array of sources, but primarily from the internet. It's the internet that's doing it. And this is something that many distillers have been really slow to latch on to, because the official website of a distillery can be providing so much incredibly useful from source content to help promote, display, explain, articulate, introduce, embellish, fact check on bottles of whisky that supply, and they're just not doing it. All credit to Bruichladdich when they started off as their Hebridean distillery maverick type setup. They started offering more disclosure, and it's a huge one of the things that I do credit Bruichladdich for doing, despite the fact that at times when they were beating the drum they were banging a bit too hard, and sometimes the quality of what was being bottled most certainly did not match the tasting notes that were provided. But hey, that's history now. So that any distillery out there that's wanting to connect with their customers, there's no need to leave it to the experts who are writing books. There's no need to leave it to commentators like myself, who are, as always, providing an non-expert perspective and opinion. It's what we do. And this is why it's kind of hard to kind of take knocks at online reviewers. And the simple reason is we're just being honest about it. We're not claiming to be experts. We're not claiming to be super informed, because trying to get the information at times can be a serious struggle, and when we do, we're not sure at times whether to believe it. So we've got to give our own specific perspective. But when distilleries like bottlers like Compass Box, because Compass Box are not a distillery, they're an independent bottler, but they've got a large stock of really good ex-Diageo casks. Clynelish, Caol Ila, Linkwood, Glenelgin, Glenord, all sorts of juicy stuff. When they come out on their website, and there's no complications about it, you can just literally download the PDF file and print it off if you want to. And what they've provided is a profile wheel. So it's not even a complicated flavour wheel trying to tell you what you should be tasting. It's your experience, not theirs. But when they give you this simple, very easily translatable profile wheel showing what whiskies have actually gone into the blend, it is priceless information for those of us who are taking our time and reading into the whisky as much as we can in terms of smell and taste. We're focusing on the quality. And the great thing is, and this is still one of the great trump cards of Scotch whisky, is the affordability of quality. The affordability of quality is second to none. It's not like cognac, where anything decent that's been properly aged has a massive premium attached to it and is usually bottled at minimum 40%, with a whole load of money spent on a ridiculous high quality crystal flask. But that's cognac for you. This is why when you want a good cognac, buy an Armagnac instead. End of. Most times. But it's not just Compass Box. So here's some advice for any distillery anywhere in the world, wherever you are. Have a really good overview of your website. Where is your website at? Are you just giving some basic flavour advice, showing the range of your bottlings, selling tickets for distillery tours, and then finishing off with your cask investment programme? And please, distillers, be very careful with that, because there's some bad players out there, seriously bad players, and it's going to be damaging for the industry when the scandal happens, just as it was for wine in the 1990s. But when you're selling your casks of whisky, you really need to have a full contract disclosure, not just say, we'll sell you a cask 9,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, or whatever you're asking. The whisky drinkers are just getting fatigued with it, and they're starting to move on. And it really is very, very telling for any spirit maker when more people will visit independent and alternative review sites than actually go to the official site, because they feel they're not going to get the information that they're looking for from the official producer's website. It's not a good look. And it's not as if you need an all singing, all dancing website. Seriously, Squarespace will do it for you. And I'm not selling Squarespace, it's just simply an available, affordable, manageable option for a distillery. And yes, they have the infrastructure in the website design that you can put your age barrier. And I see this is another thing that really pisses me off. You go to the big companies, right? The big producers, right? Do you want to visit our website? Give us your age, give us your date of birth, give us your location, give us this information. It's just pure, cynical harvesting of personal information with nothing in return. Shame on distilleries that do that. All you need is 2 boxes. One box says, are you of legal age to access an alcohol site where you are? Yes, no. And I commend and compliment every distillery site and whisky site that actually have it simple as that. That's all you need. This cynical harvesting it betrays a mindset, and the mindset, frankly, puts the informed whisky drinker off buying the product. Because there's still this cultural entitlement in Scotch whisky that we're the best in the world, and you will just accept what we give you because we know best. Am I right? Yes. Yeah, I'm right. And when people are contacting a distillery needs to ask, why do people keep contacting us to ask us if we're putting caramel colouring in our whisky? Well, I'll answer that for you, distillers. Because it makes a big difference to them, because they care, because these informed customers understand that you're adding whiskey, so you're adding burnt, scorched, chemicalised sugar. And it's industrial chemical process to make it, so it's chemicalised, sugar scorched colourant into your product, because you don't want the customer to see what colour it really is, in case they get suspicious about how little cask maturation has actually gone on over the years. That's what's frightening you, distillers, and that's why you just want to keep it quiet. Well, your customers will just start walking away when they're ready. And heaven help you, it's your fault, distillers, because you haven't met in the middle. You're trying to impose marketing rather than generating ambient marketing. It's called a two-way conversation instead of a one-way lecture. That's what it's all about. And see, when you get small bottlers doing this, giving you authentic, original, proper, tangible, manageable disclosure. And it doesn't matter what they're making, whether it be whiskey, rum, bourbon, whatever. These are the sort of the distilleries that we should be spending more time looking at and with a view to buying their product, because they want a conversation rather than imposing a one-sided school teacher's lecture at you. And this is the thing that if you're not cynical about whiskey marketing yet, you will be. I guarantee it. And I feel sorry for whiskey marketing people. I really do. It's probably one of the worst jobs in the entire whiskey industry. You know, it's if you don't have, particularly if you don't have good product, if you don't have good product, you're trying to entertain, engage, and whip up enthusiasm amongst people who are disinterested and are just there to get pished. And that's not nice. It's really not nice. I'm Ralphie. Hope you've enjoyed this extras. I've enjoyed your company. It's lovely to see you again, those of you who are regular malt mates, and a few pals as well, my subscribers. And if you're just new to the channel, hey, subscribe and you'll get some more whiskey information. Hey, hey, hey.